Hi, everyone. It's Marcia Martin, the Heart Healer, and I am so excited about the class that I am sharing on Sunday. It's all about defeating the demon of fear, and it is packed full of practical and spiritual things that we can do when fear has really gotten a hold of us. Sometimes we get out in front of where we are, we get out of this present moment, and we get so caught up in the what ifs that it feels like it's just impossible to turn off the fear meter. So this is a 2-hour workshop by teleseminar, and it is fabulous. You will have things that you can do to address your fear in the present moment that will anchor you and ground you, practical solutions. But then we'll also take a look at the energetic side, the spiritual side, and we'll get to the root of that fear and clear it out so that that which you're doing in the physical will actually take root, take hold, and you'll be able to conquer those fears and go forward really feeling good. You'll have real tools that you can use on a daily basis. So, first, let's look at how to stop being triggered by fear. And both last week, how to defeat the demon of fear and how to stop being triggered by fear, we are going to look at some really practical applications that you can use in our class on Sunday at 1 o'clock, and it's by teleseminar, so you don't have to go anywhere. You can attend in your pajamas if you want to. 1 o'clock Pacific. Go to my website, marciamartinthehearthealer.com, and click on the link, How to Defeat the Demon of Fear, and you'll see more about the class and how you can sign up. And it is a powerful class. So let's take a look now at how to stop being triggered by fear. And our guides begin. Dear ones, the only way that fear can affect you in unpleasant ways, or what you're referring to as being triggered, is if you give fear a position of superiority in your life. If you allow fear to be giant, mighty, and powerful, then you will feel small, ineffectual, and insignificant when something you fear comes to mind. Notice they didn't say when something you fear is actually happening. Usually by the time the thing that we are afraid of is happening, we're into, okay, let's just get through this mode, and we find out that that thing that we were so afraid of isn't so big after all. We just get busy doing what we need to do, and we get through it. It's the anticipation. And I know a lot about this because I spent almost my entire life living in fear. All of my childhood was spent living in fear. I grew up with parents who were product of Depression-era parents, and they used to say things like, you have to save for a rainy day, you don't know what's coming next, be on the lookout for the other shoe to drop. There was, even though they were quite comfortable financially, there was never that sense of peace. There was always a sense of fear. But once I learned how to conquer fear, it changed my life dramatically. So that's what I'm going to share with you on Sunday. Fear only has the power you give it. You give fear power when you spend your time and your attention concentrating on the what-ifs of your life. This is when you get out ahead of what is and start preparing or planning for the worst. When you act as if the worst will happen, some disaster is going to befall you, or your life is out of control, as though random bad things happen to you. Then you become a passenger in your life and you've placed fear in the driver's seat. You've said, I don't take responsibility for creating a life I adore. So I'll pretend I'm not powerful and allow my fears to determine the course of my life. Once you realize how powerful you are, your life will change. We are at such a time of unprecedented, beautiful, loving energy that if you never have gotten a hold of this concept before, this is the time to get a hold of it and run with it. We've got to remember we are powerful creators. And they continue. We want you to realize that you're always powerful creators. Whether you're creating from a place of certainty in which you recognize that where you place your attention determines what you attract, or whether you believe you have no control over your life, you are still the sole, most powerful creator in determining your life events. Please get a hold of this. It is your thoughts, the importance that you attach to those thoughts, how you react, that causes what you are going to experience. Yes, there are challenges that you will encounter that are designed to enhance your growth. They cannot be sidestepped with even the mightiest intention. But even though there will be challenges, you still have nothing to fear. When you accept that you're powerful, when you place your attention on all that's going right, and when you maintain an attitude that's positive and upbeat, you'll discover that although the challenge still arrives, you'll be able to greet that challenge not with fear, but with wisdom, with unshakable faith, and without missing a beat from living the life you desire. When you allow yourself to anticipate what's coming and assign all sorts of negative possibilities to it, you shrink. You automatically limit your ability to endure and learn from the challenge, and you will most probably make your worst fears into reality. As a former expert on fear, I can tell you, I made all of my worst fears into my reality. And then once they were there and I had to face them, I realized, hey, this thing that I've been afraid of, well, it's making me uncomfortable, but it won't defeat me unless I allow it. But now you may ask, why is a loving creator so cruel as to allow us to experience our deepest fears? Why don't they step in and stop these things from happening? Well, you have free will, you have nothing to fear, and you can change your reality at will. The Creator has already given you everything you need to survive and to thrive. Now they're giving you the opportunity to use those gifts and grow from that experience. If there was nothing to push against, an absence of fear, you'd quickly become bored and experience little growth. So we must ask you, why bother? Why bother entering the physical form if there's nothing to gain? When you begin looking at these growth opportunities, these challenges, as a way to show yourself how strong you really are and to grow mightily, you'll be happy when you see, okay, hey, I've got another opportunity to show myself that I'm growing, that I'm becoming stronger, wiser, and even more powerful. So no reason to shrink away, no reason to feel small. You are powerful, just as you are. Right now, you are powerful. Now let's address how to stop being triggered by these fears that have defeated you in the past. First, recognize who you are. A powerful creator who creates in partnership with the divine. You are not alone. You're part of the divine, who are bigger than anything and everything, and as part of the divine, you have access to that vastness. You have access to that wisdom, strength, and courage, so you literally have nothing to fear, for you are bigger than anything represented by fear. Take a moment to really allow that to sink in. No matter what comes against you, in partnership with the divine, are bigger than what that thing represents. You have all of the answers. You have access to the entire energetic realm. There is not one solution being denied you, but you've got to be open and in a receptive place in order to receive the answer that you need. However, when something comes to mind that makes you feel afraid, then you've been triggered. Therefore, the first thing to remember is how powerful you are. The second thing is to understand that fear can only frighten you if you believe it's the truth. So once you realize your true power, take a moment to ask yourself, is this true? Don't get out in front of it. Don't jump to conclusions. Ask yourself, do I know this thing will absolutely happen? Am I certain? Since none of you can answer with a truthful yes about an event that has not yet happened, you now know that you're believing something that may or may not be true. Since it's not an absolute, which nothing but universal law can claim absolute status, then you know it can be changed. You can create an outcome you desire by changing how you're viewing the situation and responding to it. You cannot continue with your old way of thinking. Oh my gosh, this is so big. I know it's going to get me. I know it's going to get me. It's going to hurt me. It's going to be really hard. I'm really scared. If you insist on staying in that thinking, you will absolutely manifest the thing that you are afraid of. So you've got to look at it and say, I don't know this is going to happen. It's a possibility, but it's also possible that it will work out exactly the way that I want it to, or something even better can happen. All I have to do is change my relationship to this thing that I fear. Stop being small and start being powerful. Next, look at the story you're telling about the potential situation. What are you saying about this thing you fear? Are you making it bigger than it really is? Are you assigning qualities to it that don't exist, like the power to harm you or your loved ones or to cause ruin? I understand that when you are looking at something that seems huge, it's so easy to get caught in the trap of fear. But since you don't know that this is absolutely what's going to happen, you must begin telling a better story. Tell the story of your success. It doesn't take any more effort. It does take being mindful. You can't just go back where you used to be. You have to be present and mindful and catch yourself. But you can do it. These are all attributes you're giving to a thing or situation that just is. When you say that it's going to harm you or cause ruin, you're assigning it that power. Until you assign it a value, either positive or negative, the situation just is. It's your reaction to it that determines how this event will unfold in your life. Recognize that everything is neutral. You can say, oh, the sun is shining, and feel good about that. Or you can say, oh, the sun is shining. It's so hot. Now you've just created an antagonistic relationship with a beautiful day. Same circumstance. Circumstance was neutral. It was how you were choosing to view it that decided how you would respond to it. Once you've identified the story and you've successfully changed it, remember, we can't keep telling the same story. Dig even deeper to the roots. All of the reactions you're having are surface symptoms to a yet unexecuted threat. In other words, you're being triggered and you're responding to something that may or may not happen. So you've got to do some work on the core issue. If you ignore the root problem and focus on the symptom, you'll constantly be revisiting the same issue over and over again. Even though you'll be able to keep fear at bay, you'll find yourself triggered again and again in an endless cycle until you get to the heart of the matter. Dig down into your energetic awareness and look for the cause. And I guarantee you, there is always a cause. Why do you believe this? Why are you afraid of this? Or what happened to make you afraid of this? Are just a few of the questions you can ask to identify what's causing you to be afraid. Dig in there. Find out, what is it that I'm so afraid of? Why am I allowing this to be my truth? Once you understand the root or cause that triggers your fear reaction, do the energetic heart work necessary so this belief is no longer active. It doesn't matter if the fear is based in reality or a product of your imagination. If you believe it's something you need to fear, you will be afraid. It doesn't have to be based in reality. Your mind cannot tell the difference between what you're making up and what is really truly there. So, you can be afraid of the dark. You can be afraid of the light. You can be afraid of anything if you assign fear to it. You can also be more powerful than anything if you assign certainty to it. If you've gotten into the heart and done the work. That's what we're going to do in this class. We're going to do the work. Do the work to transform that energetic pattern from fear to love of self. Love of self must come first, and then acceptance of others, and the belief that you are powerful. If you insist on believing that you are weak, you will always be weak. You must love yourself enough to recognize who you are. As soon as you recognize what's happening, identify why it's happening and take constructive steps to change your belief system, fear will no longer be able to dominate your energetic field or cause you to take foolish action. Take a moment and look back on your life. How many foolish things did you do or agree to or think or say or participate in because you were afraid? Now, allow your life to be a movie in front of you and pretend that you're going forward into the future with wisdom instead of fear. Do you see yourself acting in the same way? Would you make those same foolish decisions if you believed yourself to be wise? I am absolutely certain you would not. We make these decisions, foolish decisions, that cause us major problems in our life only because we believe we're not powerful. When you realize you're powerful and you step into your truth as one who has nothing to fear and everything necessary to create for themselves a life that is pleasant, your life will be fulfilled and exciting rather than painful, fearful, and exhausting. If you are tired of living, it's because you believe you're not powerful. You believe that you're just a little tiny ship on an ocean and you can be tossed around by the waves of chance, and that is just not true. You need to understand just how powerful you are, and you need all of the tools in order to take charge. Take control of your life by taking deliberate action against everything you fear, and do a comprehensive energetic sweep from the surface to the depths of your being, so you will be free of that which you fear. Everybody has this option. Absolutely no one should be held in a position where they feel that there is nothing they can do. There is absolutely a solution to every problem. I'm not going to guarantee that you won't have to go through a challenge. That's silly. That's just pretending that you didn't come here to grow. So understand, yeah, hey, you know what? I came here to grow, and I'm excited about it, and I absolutely am going to get the most out of my life every minute of the day. But I'm not going to do it from a place of fear or feeling small. I am mighty and powerful. I'm going to remember that, and that's the story I'm going to tell myself. So before I take questions, let's just review what they've shared with us. Remember, if you allow fear to be giant, mighty, and powerful, you will absolutely feel small, ineffectual, and insignificant. And that is not a way that I want you to live your life. I spent so much of my life being afraid and feeling small. So I know how tough it is. But I know that you can change your life by changing the way that you are relating to your life and getting into the heart and doing the work to clear it. When we feel small, we look for something that's bigger than we are. And unfortunately, we usually find that fear is bigger than we are. When we don't realize our own power, we assign that power that belongs to us to the thing that we fear. And then when our worst fears are realized, we're even more certain that there's something to fear, and that fear is powerful, so much more powerful than we are. We may even believe that life is random and out of our control. And we'll take a step back from taking responsibility in our lives and put fear in charge. And that is not a way to enjoy life. You can get by, but you're not going to be living your life. Your power doesn't diminish when you think fearful or negative thoughts, but your wisdom does. You're going to be making decisions that you will regret for a very long time if you allow yourself, because you will have been acting from the belief that there's nothing that you can do. We have to remember that negative thinking, negativity, is fear-based thinking. Let's look at what we're really saying. If we were to say, oh, I'm not smart enough, pretty enough, young enough, wealthy enough, healthy enough, you name it. It can go on and on and on. What you're really saying, the word that you're not putting in there, is, I'm afraid I'm not. I don't have the ability. I don't want to be held accountable or be responsible for the life I've created. Then when life is going well, it's easy for us to say, wow, look what I've accomplished. And you feel big and strong and powerful. But if you haven't taken the time to put fear in the passenger seat, just say, you get over there and, you can motivate me, but you don't get to drive. You're always going to be looking for that time when you need the excuse of, I'm afraid. Because it's just an excuse. You can only turn your life around, though, if you take responsibility for creating the mess. I remember when I was first really got serious about my spiritual walk, first thing I did was say, oh, no. I cannot be responsible for this mess that I've created. It was horrible. So I had to mature. I had to really get real and take responsibility for all that I had created. I had to own it. But then you don't get to stay there. You can't wallow in what you've created. Own your power, face the circumstance head on, and then look at what you can do, what can be done right from where you are. There's always a solution. Please don't get out in front and say, well, if I have $1 million, then I'll fix it. Unless you have $1 million right now, that's not a solution for you today. Use what you have right now. You got to remember you're never alone. If every other person on this planet were to disappear tomorrow, you're still okay. You are still in partnership with the divine. We got to remember, God is bigger than we are. God is part of us. We are part of God. That partnership will never fail us as long as we leave the door open. Also, please keep in mind that your fear is based on what if, not on the reality of what is happening this moment. Even if it's tomorrow, it's still not this present moment. Anything can change between now and then as long as you have decided that you're going to allow it to change. We have to ask ourselves, is this true? Well, if it's not happening in this present moment, it hasn't happened yet, so it's not true that it will happen. You don't know that this will happen. It's just a possibility. You're just thinking that it might happen. And since the event is not happening now, you cannot be certain. Therefore, it can be changed. It absolutely can be changed. We create with our thoughts, our attention, our emotion. So we've got to remember and to be really focused on the fact that it is the story that we are telling to ourselves, that we are repeating to our friends, that we are going on and on and on about, that is setting up these circumstances. And it's just as easy to tell the story of your success as it is to talk about your failures. Get focused and excited about what you do want. You'll get the fastest results if you change your energetic vibration, which is your attachment to this thing that you're afraid of. If you just talk about it, but in the back of your mind you're telling yourself, well, I really don't believe this, but Marcia told me I really better change my story, it's not going to be all that effective. Get in there, do the heart work. As I said, we're going to do that on Sunday, so you will have a way to get in there and clear it out. You'll understand what to do. Examine that root, the cause, the underlying source that's created the fear. Is it someone else's belief that you've just swallowed, that you've never examined? That happens often when it's a parental or an ancestral fear that we're carrying forward. Then transform that energetic pattern from fearful to victorious. Okay, this may have happened in the past. Let's say it did. Doesn't mean it's going to happen now. You used to be a baby. You're now no longer a baby. Everything changes. So keep that in mind when you are looking at something that you feel can't be changed. You changed. The world has changed. Everything changes. And so these circumstances that appear insurmountable can be changed as well. And we have to remember not to blame fear. Fear has no power of its own. It only has the power you assign to it. So if you refuse to hand over your power, fear can't jump up and take it from you. Fear is just an energy. You, in partner with the divine, have much more energy at your disposal than anyone else on the planet, and everyone has the same amount available to them. So you can't say, well, person A has more than I do. No, they may be more open. and available to receive that energy, but you have that same opportunity. You're the most important and powerful creator in your life. Person A cannot create your life for you. You are the creator. And as I told you, I spent so much of my life being afraid and being told things that my grandmother's woman who she had a woman that would come and help her in the house. And her name was Sally. And you would ask her, Sally, would you like something to eat? And she said, oh, yes, God knows when you get again. That was her entire life. I better get something now because I'm afraid I won't get it later. That was the mentality that I absorbed and never thought to question it. I thought it was just kind of a cute little thing to say. And I never realized I was playing that out in my own life. I was always concerned about whether something would still be available to me later. And it was at cross purposes with who I am because I am naturally a giver. So I kept fighting myself and causing a bigger problem because I kept thinking, well, I'd rather that you have it, Sally, than me, because it feels so much better when I give it to you. And if there's nothing left for me, well, I'll just have to be okay with that. I didn't realize that I could create enough for both of us, nor did she. I was also told things like, well, other people will always have more. What were they really saying? I'm afraid I'm not enough. I don't think I'm worthy enough or deserving enough. And then, the best one of all, if it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all. Well, if that's not priming the pump to make sure that you experience things that are unfortunate throughout your day, I don't know what is. Luck is something that we create with our thoughts. Again, it's just energy. It really doesn't exist until you assign a value to it. So why can't we go through our lives saying, I create and receive the life I desire, with the understanding that there will be challenges. But you're going to be so big and so strong and so powerful that when that challenge comes up, your response will be, oh, great, now I get to see how powerful I am, instead of, oh no, I'm going to be crushed, ruined, destroyed. My family will be hurt. Your family will grow stronger. Your family will realize they too are powerful creators. Several years ago, I had to face one of my worst fears. It was the thing that I thought would wipe me off the planet, that I would never, ever recover from. Now, going into it, I was afraid. I had not conquered my fears at that time. And so it was uncomfortable. I did have to walk through the fire. I had to face that fear. But once I was in the middle of this mess that I had created with this poor thinking that I had chosen to attach to, I realized, hey, you know what? It's uncomfortable. I'd rather this wasn't happening, but I'm going to get through it. And I watched my children, my husband, all of us grow, become stronger, become more powerful, become more committed to our spiritual journeys. And I have to tell you, if the only way that I could get here was to go through that again, I would do it again. I'll never have to, because I have moved past that. I have conquered it. It's no longer part of my energetic vibration. But let me tell you, if the only way to hear was to go back there, and re-experience that situation, I would run. I would say, bring it on as fast as you can. I want this more than I want anything else in my life. I want to be free. I want to know what it's like to be powerful in all aspects of my life. So if you're facing a situation that really feels overwhelming, join me on Sunday. I'll help you with all of the tools that I have gathered and all of the wonderful information that my guides have shared with me. And you will see, just like I learned, there's nothing to be afraid of except things that are swirling around in my imagination that haven't come to be, and even when they did appear on my doorstep, turned out to be something that I could get through, that I wasn't going to be beaten by, but that I could rise above. So please don't shrink from fear. Just dig in and realize how much you bring to the table. Now, we've got to understand that you might fail when you are up against something that is pretty big to conquer. You might fail, you might stumble around, you might make a few bad choices. But it doesn't stop you from winning in the end. You merely pick yourself up and start again and say, okay, what did I learn? What do I now have that I didn't have a few minutes ago? What can I apply to this situation that I didn't apply before? And start doing what you can do from where you are. But don't let the fact that you tripped up or you failed or you stumbled or it didn't work out perfectly be the reason why you never try again. If you give up, fear has won. You have proven it right. So just pick yourself up, dust yourself off and say, I got this. I can do it. Now, interestingly enough, I have been hearing the question over and over and over again, why do I feel blah or disconnected or in turmoil? If this energy is so wonderful, if this energy of unconditional love is so powerful, why am I feeling so blah? Why do I feel just kind of lost in space? And at the end of that question always comes, should I be afraid? Have I lost my connection? Has God given up on me? Is there something that I don't know? And you can feel the fear that everybody else is just sailing through this shift energy, this ascension that we're all part of, and that perhaps you got left behind. That's just fear. None of us are sailing through this energy. We're all navigating little by little. We all have times when we feel off. We feel physical reactions to the energy. We all have times when it feels like we're flying high, like we could do anything. And then we have that blah sort of time, that time that just, I call it more of a settling period, where we're getting used to all that we've become. It's not always going to be a straight trajectory to the top. That's not what success looks like. It's a lot of loop-de-loos. It's a lot of reevaluating, reassessing, reassigning who you are and where you're going. But if you really were to take the time and sit down and let's say you got out a piece of paper and a pen and you said, okay, where was I last year? And where am I this year? Make a graph. What have I accomplished? Who do I think of? How do I think of myself? How do I conduct myself? What's different about me this year than perhaps last year or 6 months ago? you would see such enormous growth. You would realize how incredibly powerful you are and you are continuing to become. This energy is helping us all step more fully into our authentic selves. It is wonderful, but it's also new. Unknowns, remember they told us last week, when we get into unknowns or uncertainty, we often can conjure up fear. We get into the what ifs. It's not something that we have experienced before in physical bodies. And if we allow ourselves, we can feel that we don't have everything we need in order to move forward. But take a look at where you were even 6 months ago, and you will be so proud of yourselves. You will be so delighted that with the growth that you've been able to experience. Even if it's just moving from kindergarten to first grade in terms of your spiritual knowledge, that's amazing. Or perhaps you just started, you're just beginning to explore. Just imagine how incredible being able to differentiate between things that you never thought you could do and recognizing that you are the one that's in control. That is so huge. That's like climbing Mount Everest in terms of knowledge. Then you've got to tweak it and work with it and figure out, okay, how is it going to work best for me? Make sure that you don't get into a comparison state of mind. Don't look at how someone else is progressing. Or let's say, here's a good example. I often have people come to me and say, well, it seems like everyone else is able to manifest exactly what they want so much faster than I am. And I feel like maybe I'm doing it all wrong. Well, first of all, you don't know where they started. You don't know what kind of resources they have at their disposal. And you don't know whether they're really manifesting anything that you want. So get out of the comparison game and instead, please, just look at your own life. What have you been able to manifest? How have you been able to make your life better? What's better about your life? What have you been able to create for you that makes you feel good? Manifesting something is not always about, oh, I got a bigger house. If you really are looking at it, I am less fearful today than I was yesterday. That's a much bigger manifestation than I got a bigger house. That is manifesting where it counts and where it matters, and in a way that it will move you forward to begin being able to live a life that really feels good to you. Let's say the person next to you was able to manifest a bigger house, but they are still living in fear that they can't pay for that house. Would you rather have your life where you're saying, hey, I'm less fearful today than I was yesterday? Or their life, which is, wow, now I've just added a whole new element of fear because I manifested this big thing, but I forgot to add that I needed to know how to pay for it. So I'm really moving backward. On the outside, I look great, but inside I'm feeling small and insignificant, and I'm feeling as though I'm not going to be able to keep up this facade. It's the inner work that comes first. The inner work of being able to say, we are stronger today, more powerful today than we were yesterday. That is much more important than look what I got in the physical. The physical will come. It might take longer than you would like it to, but it will come if the inside, the spiritual, is really been cleaned up and sparkling. It cannot help it. If you are thinking correctly, if you are seeing yourself as a powerful creator, law of attraction says you will attract everything you think about. Law of attraction doesn't say you will attract what you're thinking about in 5 minutes or 5 seconds. Law of attraction has no time attached to it. It just guarantees that when you think about something day in and day out, at some point it will manifest in your physical reality. And I know that because I spent so much time thinking about what I was afraid of and how small and insignificant I was, that was the reason that I spent most of my adult life feeling small and insignificant. As soon as I started changing that, my outward circumstances didn't change overnight, but I began to feel so much more powerful, so much more excited about my life. Life was getting fun instead of being constant drudgery of when is the other shoe going to drop? What's coming next? What do I need to prepare for so that I can make it through? How can I protect my children from this bad thing that's going to happen? I don't do that anymore. And let me tell you, it is the biggest blessing and the most amount of freedom that I have ever known. Now, I wasn't able to turn it around overnight. It took me quite a while. This was not when didn't begin this when we even had the assistance of these ascension energies. So I had to learn everything from scratch. I had to develop these tools in partnership with my angelic helpers. And so I want to give you the shortcut so that you can begin turning your life around right now. You won't have to wait the years and years and do all that studying and reading that I did. You've got the help of the ascension energies. You have the angelic assistance, and I've tied it up into a nice little package and put a bow on it for you because I'm so excited to be where I am as opposed to where I used to be. So, does anyone today have either a fearful situation that they would like help resolving, or do you want to share with us a fear that you've conquered so that you can be encouraging to all of the rest of the people that are on the call? It would *6 to raise your hand, and anyone that would like to share something that was really huge in their life, a fear that you've been able to conquer. And let's take a look also right now, while people are gathering up their courage and deciding whether they want to share. Oftentimes, the thing that we really fear is concerned with finances. It's money. So let's take a look at money and finances and your ability to earn money for just a moment. And I want to share something with you that Bob Proctor, I heard Bob Proctor speak about. He said he was talking with a gentleman who was a doctor. And he said, "How do you like being a doctor?" And the man replied, "Oh, I just love it. I love it. It is so exciting to me. But I've decided I'm going to quit. I just can't make any money." And Bob Proctor's reply was, "It's easy to make money. You can make money any number of ways. What's difficult is finding the thing that speaks to your heart." So if you're in a situation where you're looking at your current job or something that you want to do and you say, "Oh my gosh, I would do that if I could just make money. Toss that aside. Get excited about that thing that you want to do. It is your purpose. It's your reason for coming. It is the thing that will bring you joy. And then say, okay, I might have to do another job. I might have to make money another way. But money is just a tool. Money doesn't control me. I'm powerful. And with my power as a creator, I can create an abundance of opportunities for me to make money that may or may not have anything to do with my purpose. So I'm no longer going to allow making money to be the way I define myself. I'm not better because I'm able to make a lot of money, and I'm not less because I haven't yet figured out how to make money. I'm just going to assume that I'm a powerful creator because I know that's true. And then I'm going to start looking for creative ways that I can make money. But I'm not going to give up my happiness. I'm not going to give up my purpose. And I'm not going to become a slave to money because money is easy. Money is just energy. I just have to change my relationship. Instead of being afraid that I won't have enough money, I'm just going to realize that I can make money all sorts of ways. And the thing that I may not be able to do is create a life that feels good unless I follow this burning desire to do this thing. So I've gotten money out of the equation. I'm open to doing what I need to do in order to make money, or coming up with alternative solutions, ways that I can make money that may not be doing this thing that it lights me on fire. But I know that if I really continue pursuing my purpose, that at some point everything's going to come together and my purpose probably will pay for me to stay alive. And then I'll have it all. But in the beginning, I might just have to find new ways to support myself financially. I just won't be afraid that I cannot support myself. Because the minute I give my power over to the fear that I cannot support myself, it then starts moving in to what can be my truth column. If I assign fear to the, oh no, I won't have enough money thought, I might be, if I continue to think that way for long enough, be looking at a situation in which I have created not enough money. Now, here's another way to look at money, and that is something that I heard from Sadhguru. It was on one of their YouTube videos on the Sadhguru channel. And this really opened up my mind in a different way. And he was saying, the most important thing that you can do is get into a place of love, joy, and peace. And you'll hear me speak about that often. Get into that highest vibration of love, joy, and peace, where the divine hangs out. Because when you're in the highest vibration, you are automatically open to receiving all of the things that lead up to that vibration. So in other words, if you're in a state of love, joy, and peace, where you're feeling wonderfully fulfilled and supported and strong and powerful, you will automatically be in the right vibration to attract a home. Because it's very difficult to stay in love, joy, and peace if you don't know where you're going to be sleeping tonight, or if you have no place, no roof, no place that you can call home. You'll also be open to receiving food Because again, it's impossible to stay in that place of love, joy, and peace if you are constantly hungry or you're worried about where the food is coming from. You'll also have clothing. And generally, because most of these things are bought with money, you'll have the money to pay for them, or they'll just be gifted to you. Because when you're in the highest vibration, you're open to receiving all of these things that are necessary for our physical survival. So when you go for the highest thing, that stuff, which makes it more comfortable, automatically gets added in. As you are open to receiving it. You don't even have to concentrate on it. You don't have to put all of your time and attention on, oh my goodness, how am I going to make money today so that I can eat? Or should I start a garden so that I can eat? Or perhaps I should go to the hardware store and buy hammer, nails, and wood so that I can have a place to sleep tonight. That stuff just kind of gets tossed to the side. You just assume that you're going to have it all because you're feeling so good. And because you've decided that you're going to have this, it becomes your truth. Now, David, I see your hand is raised. Good morning.
Hi,
Good morning. Hi.
Hi. Well, I totally agree with all you're saying, so I didn't want to interrupt too long. I waited my turn. But you're correct. Like, challenges in life will always come on our path, and they make us stronger. But giving into fear is never a good idea. So it's like you said. It's be aware of your thoughts, monitor your thoughts, and get into your heart. If you think too much, when you're in fear, you do that. I know that from experience. Make sure you do something that brings you joy, like you said, and brings you back into your heart, into feeling. So you shut down the thinking, and then you get more clarity and can look at the problem from a different perception.
Oh, that is so true. How many times have I, or in the past, I've got to find an answer. I've got to find an answer. There was nothing coming through. I was in such a state of panic that nothing could have gotten through. It's so imperative. Get into your heart. Get away from whatever it is. Take a walk, read a book, sing a song, do something that will get you out of that state where you feel that you're up against it. That is such valuable advice. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, yes. We need to remember when it feels like I have to have an answer now, that's the time when you've got to put it away and go do something else. And if you're anxious, then do something physical before you get into your heart. Burn off some of that anxiety so that when you do take that moment to get into your heart, you'll be able to hear what's being said. You'll be able to be present and not in that crazy space of, I've got to do it now. You know what I learned and looking back and all of that time that I spent in fear, it was never now. And when the now came and I had been successful in creating this thing that I feared, I just went ahead and got through it. I just did something that allowed me to progress. And it generally was none of the stuff that I had been obsessing over. The big plan that I had made or the whatever wasn't even realistic when I actually had to face that thing that I was afraid of. So all of that time spent in worry was just wasted anyway, because I never came up with anything that was viable. And when it came right to it, I just had to do something with what I had in front of me, and there was always something in front of me. So, yes, yes, yes. If I had known enough to get into my heart at that time and just calm down and just get into the place where I could feel comfortable and I could feel calm, then I would have known how to divert the whole thing or how to walk through it without even noticing. But by choosing to stay in the head and review it over and over and over and over again until I made it so much bigger than I believed I could ever be, I created before, during, and after problems for myself. So just so glad not to be in that place anymore. David, do you have something that you've conquered recently that you want to share?
Well, I've conquered many problems, but that's what makes us great teachers, because we've first-hand experience.
Hallelujah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not listen to me because I've never done it wrong. Oh, no. You get the benefit of all of my mistakes.
But listening to your heart or starting to listen to yourself, putting yourself first, is always a good thing in these situations, because we're so influenced by all surroundings and other people that try to force their thoughts on us and even their fears.
So, yes, their fears. Oh, absolutely. That's brilliant. Again, brilliant. Do not go to other people for advice if you haven't checked in with yourself first and have been given guidance to say, hey, go talk to David. He's got an answer, or he'll be able to help you. Not that I don't love you, David, but if I'm not guided to give you a call and say, hey, I think you might have experience with this. Can you help me out? That is not a good line of defense. That's just running around like a chicken without our heads. We've got to go first and say, is there someone that I can talk to who may have been in these shoes before and can help me create a successful resolution? Not just let me run around higgledy-piggledy talking to everyone and getting more confused and more fearful.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
To all of us, even to me and to you.
Absolutely. Well, that used to be my old way of fixing it. Here's this thing. Let me get advice from the man on the moon instead of let me get into my heart and get guidance about where I can go for help or whether I've got everything I need to solve this problem right here. Nothing wrong with getting help. There's just when we go into the crazy mode and start asking everybody, we get a whole load of fear to add to our fear because they're happy to share. Oh, my gosh, that's so terrible. Oh, let me tell you what happened to me. Oh, I don't want to know. Unless you tell me that I successfully navigated this situation and here's how I resolved it, I don't need any more or didn't need any more reasons to be afraid. But because I was afraid, I attracted a whole bunch of people who were afraid, and that's all they wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, you poor thing. Let me tell you about what happened to me. And off we went, running in all directions. Oh, but anyway, okay, that's all we have time for. But hallelujah to getting into your heart and really getting in touch with that wisdom that is available to all of us. So, for those of you who want real results in dealing with fear. I have a great class this Sunday, 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. There will be a replay. So even if you can't attend live, don't worry. Don't worry. Even if you can't attend live, you will still get the full benefit. Go over to my website, marciamartinthehearthealer.com, how to defeat the demon of fear. You'll get all of the information about the class and a place where you can join. So, until next Wednesday, and for all of you who I will be seeing on Sunday, I'm excited to help you banish your fears and to give you a game plan moving forward. But until next Wednesday, I'm sending you my love.